Well, you guys are going to just think I must hate this trailer, but I really don't. It's just, I keep finding little things that are just not perfect. And of course, you shouldn't expect anything to be perfect, but we're going to talk about the stairs that come with the Geo Pro. The stairs, Robin loves the stairs. They are very sturdy. They definitely feel like a real set of stairs, unlike the stairs on a typical camper. Let me show them to you. So there you go, nice and solid. You can adjust the height by pulling these pins right here, and you pull the pin and then you can slide these up and down. Here's my concerns and some things I have observed. So as you can see here, you'll notice that it's a little off kilter here. So like if you're parked in the dirt or whatever the case might be, the issue is these little things only have holes at certain distances, and you're never going to actually, unless this ground is perfectly level, you're never going to get these perfectly flat. If I move this one out a little further to catch this distance, then it would probably make that one up too high. Now I could probably close this gap closer so it doesn't have to flex a ½ inch, but still it is something that you have to contend with. Another issue we had to contend with at the campground was that the ground actually sloped up right here at the door, and so I had to dig out this area so that the steps could even go down, because with these all the way up, it still made the steps slanted like this at an angle. So it is nice and beefy, but it's a lot more work. Another issue I find with it is if you do not have this providing good support, say you have these set too short, it's going to put extra strain on this because it can pull this down, and when you're pulling this down here at an absurd angle, that means it's pulling pressure up on the back. And what is that? Well, let's look at it. This is what holds it right here. This rod, this area, this plate right here with these screws is what holds it to the floor. So if you do not have the legs extended right out here, when you step on it, it's going to be pulling up on this plate. And I just see that as a flaw, because over time, I really see that that could work loose. You really have to pay attention to where you put these legs before you start using the steps. Also, when you flow the steps out, you got to be careful not to just let them drop, because if you just let them drop and these aren't out far enough, it's going to cause that to pivot right there and pull up on that plate, causing undue stress. Another issue I have with these steps, you're going to want to have some kind of mat that you put down underneath these steps, unless you're parking on concrete, because look what happens. All the dirt on the steps from rainfall or whatever, when you throw the steps up, it's nice to decorate your camper with, because now the steps are in the trailer. And keep in mind, if you're the only one that uses your camper and you're really conscientious and you're trying to make sure you do everything right and you're paying attention to everything, probably not a problem. But if you have grandkids or kids that sometimes have their head somewhere else, chances are they're going to do stuff like this, and it could really ruin your rig. Here's another example of why I'm having really regrets about these kind of steps being in this camper. The issue is you need to make sure you have this door all the way open, because if you go and flip this down and you don't have that door all the way open, you're going to be ripping your screen door right off the front of this thing. It's going to catch. Let me show you. Put the door like this. Some kid comes to pull your steps down because they're not paying attention, and then they just slam them down. They haven't adjusted the height yet. Not only are they going to cause it to tweak the metal down here over time, they're going to grab the side of your door and rip that off if they were just being stupid. And people do stupid things all the time. Now, I'll give you an example of a stupid thing that I did. Look at my refrigerator door. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? A nice little hole in the actual stainless. I thought I had it latched. It's not latched now because it's all off and I want air to get into the refrigerator. But when we were coming home, I thought I had it latched. Well, it was all shut, but apparently it wasn't latched good, and we had beers and water bottles and all kinds of stuff in the refrigerator door. And it flew open. All the food flew everywhere, which wouldn't have been a big deal, but because these steps come into the camper, this made a nice contact with this metal here and wore a nice little hole in it. Now, that's my fault. I screwed it up. I could have swore I shut that thing. But that's my point. Even if you're paying attention, even if you're trying to do everything right, something is going to get screwed up. And then if you have other people with you that don't necessarily own this rig, friends, kids, whatever, something will get screwed up. And so let's give you an example of what would happen with that door not being shut if these steps were the typical camper steps that were always outside the trailer. So let's put these steps down. And as I said, carefully, we want to make sure we got everything clear. We set them down nice and gently. Make sure we got a solid contact on at least 1 foot, and then you could do your adjustments before you even step on the stairs so that you're not pulling on those screws underneath here unduly. But had this been normal camper steps and this refrigerator door did not get shut correctly, what would have happened? Well, sure, everything would have flown out of the refrigerator, but it would have stopped right here and the plastic would have hit this screen. Now, I might have jacked up the screen, but I guarantee you this is probably easier to fix than this, because you can get a new plastic insert, but I can't find this stainless insert. And if you want to get the stainless, you have to buy the whole door. You can't just buy the insert. So that's what happens when you have the steps folding inside the camper. So that is why I'm not so hip about these steps anymore. So how are we going to fix this? I started looking at thinking about buying a kick plate, and you could do that. You could get door push plates. 16 inches long is the longest size I could find. They're like 20 bucks. They're stainless steel. They have little screw holes on them, and it's a push plate like you would put on a bathroom door or a swinging door or something like that. And just screw it right over that section like a kick plate. And so if it ever gets hit again, you just put a new push plate on it. My concern is they have holes, and so if you don't get the exact same kind of push plate in the future, you're putting a bunch more holes in your refrigerator door every time you do it. So I really wanted to go with something that could use an adhesive. So something that didn't already have holes in it, because that would just look weird. And I don't have access to metal fabrication tools. So I decided I'm gonna go wood. So I purchased this, and this is what I'm gonna try. This is a seam binder. Now this is oak, which doesn't matter. I'm going to cut this to be the 20 inches length that I need to fit right in this spot. Now it comes out a little bit here, but what I'll do is I will sand these ends down and make them like sloped in, like a nice rounded corner here, so the edges are sloped. And basically what I'm going to do is use adhesive tape, two-sided adhesive tape, to stick this piece of wood right there. And then when this happens again and the piece of wood gets destroyed, I just go buy another piece of wood, pull this one off, and re-stick a new piece of wood right there. I think that looks better than a big hole. I hope. And it's a cheaper alternative than replacing a whole door for $200 every time you screw it up, or taking it all apart and replacing it with the plastic for $80 every time you screw it up. This was 10 bucks. So once I do it once and I know that this works, we're good to go. Now another option is if you have access to someone that has machine stuff. Now Jay did say he could do this for me, but I don't want to have to keep bugging him about it, and I really just don't want to bother him about it. He said if where he works, he could get some stainless and fabricate me a strip like an 1/8 inch thick, 1 inch high, 20 inches long, and I could just put a stainless strip right there, and that would look really, really nice. I mean, that would be the way you would want to do it. But again, chances are that strip will get damaged in the future, and I don't want to have to bug Jay every time I screw up my door. So I'm looking at something that I can maintain myself if I screw up my door. So let's go to the saw and let's get this thing going and see what happens. So we'll cut this at 20 inches. Let's see how we line up here. 20 inches should be a decent fit.
That good?
Yeah, that's good. Look at that. Yeah, that'll look pretty good. Now, to decide what I want to do with it. I have some silver spray paint. I'm going to test the silver spray paint on that piece of scrap I got and see how it does. I could either paint this black, or I could stain it black, or we'll see how the silver works. It's a little glossier than I would like. I could go black. I don't think I'm going to stain it though. I think I'm going to go paint. But I could either go black spray paint or the silver. But in here, that's what it would look like. So like I said, I could go black or I could go silver. I haven't decided yet, but I don't think I'll do stain. I'll just go one solid color. Alright, I've sprayed several coats on it. I'm going to let it dry this final coat, and then I'm going to lightly sand it and do one last pass over, maybe two, and then I will spray a clear coat on it. I think it's going to look okay. Alright, I think it's looking pretty good. I've got several coats of the silver on it, and I sprayed it with a clear coat. It's still got a little bit of drying to do, but we'll look at it out in the sun. It's got a little bit of a wood grain to it, but I don't think it looks bad at all. I think it actually looks pretty good. Now I'm going to just go in and hold it up there. Of course it doesn't match exactly, but we were expecting it to. So this will kind of give you an idea of what it'll look like once it's stuck to the door. Alright, so I've got this 3M tape. Oopsie. It's already sticking. Oh, dang it. Kind of hard to do this and shoot at the same time. So basically I want to just make sure it goes down this centered. You get the idea. I'll get it all fastened and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's fastened. Alright, there we go. Now you could measure the distances with and then mark it with a line, but as it happens, my refrigerator was perfectly level, and so I was able to just level it and use a level to put it in place. But there you go. We have a nice divider covering the gnarly, nasty hole that I put. And it can come off. It's just the 3M sticky stuff. I think all in all, that doesn't look bad at all. Let's take a look from outside. There we go. So not bad at all. I think it actually turned out pretty well for a quick fix. Like I say, you could go black, or I painted this silver. It's whatever you prefer. Or you could maybe stain it the same color as your cabinets, and then it would match your cabinets. Like I say, either way, that was a quick fix. It cost me about 10 bucks plus the paint to get it all fixed. So next time, if the door flies open, when it flies open, this is going to be hitting that instead of the other thing. And again, this can just be easily replaced anytime you need to. So there you go. That's my fix. I hope you find this useful. And here's a better angle at it.